So I'm going to start. This is not going to be a long session today because everybody's busy. One good thing, if you want to put down on your calendar, we have confirmed March 27th, 2018 as the date for our tech conference, our third tech conference. And the Tech Learning Exchange webinars, we basically focus on a piece of software talking about a difficult tech problem or challenge and what do we have as far as system-wide challenges. The Coleman Institute, we're always trying to get people to sign up on their site, and they have quite a bit of good resources on just cognitive accessibility on their website. It would be wonderful if you get individuals in your programs to sign on to this because this is something that needs thousands of signatures to get anybody's attention. This is the website where we have all our technology information. All the Tech Learning Exchange webinars are housed in this section of our website. And then I'm going to start talking about our featured software for today. And it's called Four Pics, One Word. And I've used this in quite a few sessions. I had mentioned that I have a group of young men. They're on the autism spectrum and they're all in their 20s. And this is a good focal point because lots of times there's a lot of distractions in the class. And this is a good piece of software to do a group exercise. What I do with this is I set up a projector in the class and I project from my iPad. But
Hmm.
this gets everybody to focus on this one screen and not looking in 14 different directions with 14 different iPads. So it's a good concentration point. As far as the good things about this, this is a free app, which is great. Very, very simple to use. It's a good group activity. When I do it, I'm usually the MC, but I was thinking it would be great to get one of the guys to come up and be the MC, and that would be a great chance for them to lead the presentation, take some kind of speaking role, and be pretty interesting. It has a great ability to show you spelling, remind you of how to spell words. Some of them are very complicated, usually they're not, and it makes you really look at things. The negatives on this are that in app purchases, you know, sometimes you'll get a screen that says, if you like this, why don't you play X? But that's something that doesn't happen that often. And sometimes the problems are hard. You might have seen this when you were up here. This is we're asking for people to come up with the word that is contained in the letters on the bottom of the screen that is shared by all four pictures. And John, do you have the answer to this puzzle?
We we went over this when we were up there. Yes,
Yeah,
this is a great game. Looks like deck would be our answer, Jordan.
congratulations, congratulations. That's wonderful. And you know, it's interesting just to get people to comment on the picture that they're seeing. You know, because sometimes observation is a very difficult thing. I had mentioned when you were here about guys sitting next to each other that don't know what the person next to them is wearing or what they look like. So
Hmm.
this would be a good exercise if you have an MC at the front of the room leading the people through the pictures. Let him describe each picture. It's a great way just to have some confidence in public speaking.
One of the biggest things that I took away from that is just not being afraid to have a little bit of fun and sound silly while you're
Absolutely.
playing it. It was a ton of fun to, go through the motions of doing this, and you can only imagine how much fun the individuals would have while playing it at, the day have or something
Yeah,
along those.
yeah. So it's a great app. And I just want to also show a challenge that I know I have constantly. And that's how to find anything in this business. There's so much information. It's incredible. And when you're looking for some kind of help on an app or techniques or something on a particular disability, it's there's so much out there, it's hard to get through the weeds. These are things that I find helpful, and maybe I'm selfish here. This one from David Baines, he's a gentleman that works in the Middle East. He's based in the UK, but does a lot of work in the Middle East, and he has a weekly blog. access and inclusion through technology. And hopefully this link works. Let's see if I can get to that. Yeah, every week you get a blog from him and has all different kinds of things about tech, not just on apps, but things dealing with different disabilities, um, accessibility for people with visual problems, physical problems, cognitive sessions. Tremendous amount of information. I've talked to him in the past and just asked, how the hell do you get all this information together? And
Mhm.
he just really is dedicated to the field. So, a wealth of information, a hell of a nice guy, and I'm happy to say that he's going to be our keynote speaker for our conference. He's flying over from the UK for that. So, incredible resource for information and very, very accessible. If you needed to get in touch with him directly, he's the guy. So, David Baines, Access and Inclusion. This one, the Center on Technology and Disability. This is a great site, Center for Technology and Disability, and they do tremendous amounts of webinars. The only thing you have to do is register with them, and all the sessions are free. They archive them. I've attended a couple of them, one that was on internet safety and being safe on Facebook and things like that. It was a great session. And they usually have at least one or two a month. So here's one for success on the job, family and AT, handheld technology supports and transition to employment. Just great stuff, absolutely great stuff. And it's all free. And this comes out of the Midwest. I'm trying to remember where, maybe Minnesota or somewhere, but just a fabulous resource, fabulous resource.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, really is, really is. Bridging Apps is from the Easter Seal organization. It's similar to what we have at the ARC Tech Toolbox, but it's much, much larger. They've been doing this for a significant amount of time. You can it has parameters that you can search by. So you can go age, is it free? How much does it cost? Category. The categories include a huge amount of categories. So you can refine your search. And these recommendations are they usually come with some narration on how to use them. I think it's a waste of everybody's time to try and recreate the wheel in this business. So, let's use the information that's out there and save a lot of time. So, wonderful resource. So our Tech Toolbox is similar. I think I showed it to you guys when you were here. And the trouble with it, it only has about 500 items on it. But the interesting thing is that it also includes devices. So it's pretty useful when you want to search for something just outside of apps. As time goes by, hopefully it'll become a much, much larger resource for everybody. The other item I wanted to talk about was the subject of how do you keep track of your work and how do you keep track of what works and doesn't work. I have a hard time just like fielding all the phone calls I get and then working with people and just trying to find out how things are going, which intervention works, which one doesn't. I'm not sure. I know you're kind of new to this, John, but how do you handle things there? Do you have to keep a database of what you've been doing, even if it's just an Excel sheet?
It's been a real challenge for us. The one thing that we have going for us is we have our meetings and we keep pretty good minutes of the meetings. So we keep track of what we want to be doing. One of the big challenges that we're finding is the team that we've assembled, kind of what we were discussing at the meeting, has has kind of disintegrated in a sense. We're trying to put together a new team of I don't want to say dedicated people because the original team, they were dedicated, but they also have their job.
Right.
We want to put together a team of people who are able to attend the meetings regularly. So whenever we do come up with these topics and things that we want to accomplish, we can count on them being at the meetings to provide feedback for, what it is that we're trying to do. And I think once we do that, we'll be able to get a little more traction.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the big challenges that we discussed when you and I when we sat down was, we just don't have that right now. We don't have we have the buy-in from the administration down. We have trouble putting the team together, and then challenges with the IT department and what we can and cannot
Right.
do currently.
Right.
But those are our two big challenges.
I think it's similar all over. Just on this tech ambassador thing, we're trying to have weekly webinars where we're focusing on just one small item,
Mm-hmm.
one small lesson plan. And we've had two of them. So far, so good. But, this isn't another activity on people's plate. They have all the best intentions, but then if they're called into a meeting or if they have something they have to do, you're
Yeah,
juggling
duty calls.
priorities, and you're not giving them any more money for doing this. You're just giving them recognition and status in the organization, but that doesn't buy food at the supermarket. So,
Right.
it's a challenge. But I know everything seems to be about data these days.
Mm-hmm.
How many interventions do you have? What is the success of things? And I know that's becoming a huge thing at our agency, like in CQL, measuring all those results. And in the tech world, they're going to want to know what I've been doing. So,
Right.
the one primitive thing that I'm trying, and eventually this has to turn into something more sophisticated in a database, is I don't know if you've ever used Microsoft's OneNote.
I have not. No.
Yeah, but Microsoft is OneNote is a pretty neat app because it's almost like it's similar to Evernote. I don't know if you ever tried Evernote, but Evernote is and OneNote are sort of like your attic. You can throw everything in there and then divide it into sections. So, and the key to anything like this, Evernote or OneNote, is that you have a good search engine. You can just type in things and put them in different categories so I can find out, if I type in this, the word referrals, violating every HIPAA rule in the world here. But, I can get a snapshot of the person that I'm working with. Okay. Or if I see an article somewhere on the web, I can throw that into here too.
Oh,
So
wow.
you can get as many folders. It's sort of unlimited how big this thing can get. And the nice part of this is that it syncs across all your devices. So I'm looking at it right now on a computer, but I also have the same collection on my iPad and on my laptop and on my iPhone. And the great thing about it is that it's free in the App Store. It is part of the Office thing, but it is just a remarkable. Here's a thing that I just found out about. IBM's doing something on aging population, lots of different things. So it's a
This is
great repository because you get so much extraneous stuff and you say, geez, I got to remember that. And next thing you know, it's stuck in your email or it's stuck as a post-it somewhere. So the ability to search all this is just great. And you can even make, it's like we had a management retreat. So you can sit there and just type away on your iPad or whatnot and record all of that. Once a year, I go down to this conference in Washington that's absolutely fabulous. That's where I met David Baines. And you can sit there in the conference and just type away, and you can remember all those names that, in my case, I'm always looking for speakers at our next conference. So I'm saying, oh, this is a good guy to follow up with. Maybe I'll follow up with Peter Korn at Amazon, who's the head of their accessibility unit, rather than have those notes that you say, I'm going to make those, the worst thing is if you do a presentation and you have those sticky notes around the room, those big full size page ones, and
Mm-hmm.
you say, I'm going to take that home and write it up. and then 2 weeks later you look at it and it makes no sense to you. So this is a great way to get around that, just to constantly take notes, throw it in here, and you can search it. But Evernote's a great example of it. OneNote's a great example, but I think it'd be really good for anybody that's doing this kind of work to make sure that you have a way to contain all this information that's coming into you, so that when somebody has an individual that is deaf, blind, and has cognitive challenges, you could just type that into your search engine and it will go through your notes and you'll find that article that 3 years ago you read something about.
This is really neat stuff. I had no idea because there's so much information that just gets lost in the shuffle.
Absolutely.
Now, my only question is this something that other members of the, tech club, would they be able to have access to my notebook that I put together
I
in here?
believe
Like
so.
yours
I
is.
believe so because I haven't explored it that way yet, but I know
Hmm.
it's being used in schools. They'll have
Okay.
OneNote for classes where the students can share a OneNote uh, a OneNote system and do a research project, and everybody is combining their individual research. I haven't used that part of it, but I'm 90% sure that you can do it. You would just have to look into it a little bit. So you could
Sure.
set up your own OneNote for your agency and just have, this is the resource center OneNote thing, and just throw everything into it and have like a central point. And you can throw pictures into it, PDFs, Word documents, web addresses, you name it, it can go in here. And then you can just cut and paste into a Word document or into a PowerPoint. And the price is pretty damn good at free. And
Yeah, yeah, you can't beat that.
Microsoft has been doing some tremendous things in the last couple of years as far as very affordable, if not free apps, especially in the Mac world. So they've done a great job on this. And last but not least, that's going to be it for the day. I'm only doing a half an hour today, but the next one is going to be on October the 4th, a Wednesday, and we'll do another session. This should be online this week. So if you want to hear your words of wisdom again, feel free.
Oh, absolutely.
A-
Um,
any ideas that you have in the future, I'd love to hear about. Especially, you had a lot of experience in Dayhab, and
yes, sir.
a big
Anything I can do to help,
yeah,
really.
a big focus of mine is trying to make Dayhab more stimulating and interesting. So
Hmm.
if you have any exercises, lesson plans, or anything that you did with the guys, I'm not looking for a whole day stuff. I'm just saying, give me 15 minutes of excitement, and I'll throw it into the day. Yeah, and even a simple thing, like if you had one calendar in a Google Calendar and you just use it to say, this is what we're doing today, that people could access on their device or their computer and just say, oh, this is what we're doing today. Like 9 to 11 is getting settled and social stories, and then 11 to 11:30
Hmm.
is
Yeah,
this activity. Just so like the orientation and structure, I think, is something that's very needed, especially with the young guys coming in that are on the spectrum that really need that grounding, that center of their day. So,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. Yeah. What we did do is we focused on monthly themes.
Hmm.
So, for example, October's around the corner. We would put together, like a Halloween themed month and go week by week. What do we want to do? How do we want to address this week?
And yesterday I was talking to one of our newer staff here, and he happens to have a brother who's in his final year of school who's on the spectrum. And he was just sharing some of the practical needs that they deal with every day. That, say, like you're talking about October. Well, just in October, can you still wear your shorts and your clogs?
Sure.
you know, or, are you do you know what you're going to eat today? Did you make your sandwich? Did mom make your sandwich? And all these real practical things that people are dealing with, just to get through the day.